it really comes down to controlling the amount of uncertainty and reducing uncertainty as much as possible.
Hey, Channel Insiders. Welcome to Channel Insider Partner POV. I'm your host, Katie Bavoso, and today I sit down with Robbie Morrison, CEO of Velosio, a solution provider specializing in Microsoft products. Robbie and I discuss everything from both partnering with and selling to independent software vendors to the role of IT in modern horticulture, and how Velosio is helping mid-market businesses navigate their cloud journeys during a time of economic upheaval and AI obsession. Hi, Robbie. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I know you're coming off of a soccer game, so I really appreciate you being here on a Monday morning and being so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yeah, bright-eyed might not be the right statement, but I'm here. Yeah, I had a great event last night with my son at Atlanta United.
That sounds like a good time. And as I said prior to the call, you get lots of brownie points now with your son for being the best dad on this weekend. So happy to hear that. Did they win? Was it good?
They didn't. They lost. Miami United, we went a fair amount of it to see Lionel Messi play, and he scored a goal and won. So,
all right. So it was worth it.
Yeah, it was.
Well, thank you so much for being here again today. I'm so excited to learn about Velosio. And I got to tell you right off the bat, I've been looking at your webpage, your social media pages, LinkedIn pages. Immediately I go, wow, you folks do a lot. So I want to hear right from the horse's mouth. How do you describe who you are at Velosio and what you do? So talk to me about the kind of business that you are and the services you provide.
Yeah, Velosio does do a lot, but really we're also focused on a company's technology journey, their digital transformation, to use buzzwords. But we primarily focus in and around the ERP systems of our companies, primarily the Dynamics 365 cloud offerings and NetSuite. We help our companies to implement really robust financial operational systems, and then provide the services in and around those, things like their sales automation, their data and analytics, really low code, custom app dev is another offering that we do. But it all is centered around that office of the CFO, office of the CRO type engagements.
So I definitely want to talk to you more about that focus on the C-level, but I first want to find out, who are your customers? When we talk about the verticals that they touch and the typical sizes that they are, talk to me about who you're typically engaging with.
We're typically engaging with what I'd consider the core mid-market companies, maybe on the lowest side, 25 million in revenue, kind of sweet spot around 50 million in revenue, going up to around 2 billion in revenue across the gamut of the North America market. We have specialties in ProServe being one of our biggest markets, and really cast a wide net with that. Anything from architectural firms to white collar consulting type organizations. We have really great verticalization in the horticulture market, good solutions and offerings inside of the distribution type of companies that are warehousing and shipping products. Those are kind of our core verticals that we go after, and that's core mid-market space.
You took the words right out of my mouth, because I was actually about to ask about the horticulture, the agribusiness, as it's labeled on your website, because that isn't something I often see. Of course, I see manufacturing, distribution, other verticals that just make, we hear them a lot, but agribusiness, and especially referring to it as a business sector, as a vertical itself, is not something I often hear in the tech space, because we're talking about plants, we're talking about growing. We don't often see that as high tech. So can you talk to me about that a little bit more? What are they looking for, those customers who specifically are in the business of growing? What do they talk to you about, and what do they often need from you that you help them with? I guess really, where did you see this as a business opportunity for Velosio?
We've been in the horticulture space for a while. I think primarily we were focused on the greenhouse growers, the people that were taking seeds and planting them and managing them through greenhouse. And greenhouse growing is normally much more high tech than in the field, where they're very closely monitoring and controlling the environment. So everything from PLMs, from Internet of Things, monitoring around their plant growing and being able to really influence the health of those plants and get the maximum output possible from the space that they have available. And a few years ago, we acquired a company called Silverleaf was the product, and we really went into even more of the growing space. That Silverleaf product can focus on that greenhouse growing. It could also focus on the specialty growers that grow out in fields, like cannabis is one of them, where we can manage from the seed all the way to the reporting for the states there's a lot of regulation around cannabis, as we all know, and still some questions at the federal level. But when you're growing it and managing the output so that you can fully report, that's what we can provide. And also, in that traditional seed to feed type side, you can monitor the output, understand the inputs that got you your maximum yields at the end. And that's what our customers are talking to us about.
I just think that's so cool, thinking about how technology has found its way into that space to make it something that feeds all of us, something easier to do at such a large scaled level. So I probably will have more questions that come back to that as we go through the interview for my own personal interests. But I want to go back to what you mentioned earlier of really focusing on the C-level. And we're talking about, as you said, those chief officers at the companies that you provide to. Why is that the target? And the reason I ask that is because I'm often speaking to business leaders within the channel who are speaking to more of the IT leads at these companies. Why is it important for you to go immediately to the top rather than kind of start in the middle?
The IT departments, the CIOs, are normally very involved because they manage the systems. But the people that are benefiting the most from our type of implementations, where we're managing that core data that you both report on the health of the company and manage the health of the company, is normally the CFO for the financial and the CRO for the sales and marketing automation side. So when you talk about, going after those, it's those that our return on investment, our ROI speaks to. We can implement systems that return a profit to the company quickly. And when a CFO can get their days to close down, it's less labor. Or when they can better manage their cash flow, it's maybe less interest they're paying. When they can get their DSO down to a lower level through different automations, through some of the AI offerings that are new to the collections part of the organization, it takes less manpower, less labor to get a great customer experience, and thereby improve your business and see that ROI.
What kind of conversation do you have to go in there with having with them? Because you can't immediately go in starting to talk about IT and technology when it comes to speaking with, as you know, when it comes to speaking with a chief officer. So when you're having that conversation with them, how do you pose it? Is it a business conversation?
It is a business conversation. It's the conversation about how they're running their business and how they're optimizing the business expenses to get the most profit back to the shareholders. Yeah. How do you manage your close cycle? How many man days does it take to go through a quarter or a month close, quarter close, and report up to your shareholders or your owners, how the business is doing? If you can get real-time data, you can make better decisions that are decisions more quickly than your competitors are making, and thereby have market opportunities that your competitors maybe don't have, thereby turning a profit more quickly. So you're talking to those C-level buyers about how to improve their business, about how to increase their profitabilities. And when you're not coming at it from just a feature functionality, tech stack type of process, then it resonates with them. And, when you're talking to the CRO and talking about the sales automation or the marketing automation, it's about getting a higher close rate or getting more leads into the system, or being able to better inform your shareholders of future sales through better forecasting and better predictability of future revenue. Those things all resonate heavily with those C-level buyers.
So when looking at your vendor partners, Robbie, I'm noticing that you're primarily a Microsoft and Oracle shop. Why those specific vendors and their offerings for you? Is it because they're so integrated into, honestly, the business landscape that people need help? Or was there another reason that you went down that road of specializing there?
Yeah, I would say that we're primarily a Microsoft shop. Not, 90% of our business is Microsoft. And we had customers asking us about NetSuite in years past, and we pulled NetSuite into our portfolio to really satisfy those customers and give them, what they were looking for as they migrated to the cloud. We're really a cloud first organization. We've got a large group of historical clients that are still on legacy on-prem solutions, but we're actively trying to help them migrate to modern solutions in the cloud. We believe that Microsoft and NetSuite have the best of the mid-market, upper mid-market cloud solutions available. And when you think about why do you want to go to the cloud, it's about getting those benefits, those features that's just not accessible to the mid-market through on-premise solutions. Too expensive to run all the hardware, too costly to manage the security that goes along with it. And when you can utilize a cloud-based solution like D365 or Dynamics 365 or NetSuite, you're offloading that labor, that overhead of managing a very robust system to someone like Microsoft or Oracle. And then when you're in a cloud solution or cloud applications, you're able to get all those benefits, that high computing power, things like generative AI is available to you where it's not as available on premise. You also are able to get great predictive analytics and be able to run those at a scale that's just historically not accessible to the mid-market. You think, in years past, the Fortune 50, Fortune 500 maybe had access to really great analytical tools and great ability to crunch that data and manage that environment. You can get that same power from 5 years ago or maybe 10 years ago now in a cloud solution, and it's affordable, it's accessible to even that lower end of the mid-market space.
And let me talk to you about that cloud conversation overall, because I think in recent years, we've kind of seen a bit of an interesting dance between the cloud, on-prem, public-private cloud. We've seen a shift overall. How do you help your customers navigate that shift to the cloud or decide what options with their applications in the cloud are right for them, knowing that they're probably getting hammered with all of this various media coverage on what might be the best cloud option? There's so much to see online. It's got to be overwhelming. So how do you help on an individual basis your customers navigate that process and decide what's right for them?
Yeah, and that's really a conversation with the customers because, as you said, every customer is different. Every business has something unique about it. There may be, in some of our horticulture, as we previously talked about, businesses are in very rural areas that don't have as great of an access to the bandwidth needed to run a good cloud application. And we help them to determine if that's going to fit them, or do we need to look at other solutions and again, maybe help them to understand how to get better bandwidth, how to get better reliability into their connectivity to be able to go to a cloud, or talk to them about something that's a hybrid between an on-prem and a cloud solution. And, businesses where, bandwidth connectivity is not an issue, which is luckily almost everybody now. We start talking to them about the uniqueness of their business. How much data do they have at rest, which is data stored in the systems? How much historical data do they want to move to the cloud? And what does that cost look like? What servers do they have on premise that maybe could be migrated and sunsetted and lower the cost of either their labor to maintain those systems, their maintenance contracts to maintain those systems? And then, look at that total cost of ownership to see if it's right for each of them. And, luckily these days, the cloud usually has a TCO that's a total cost of ownership that's much lower than on-prem, but it's still a conversation and something that we need to help our customers to understand and to validate that it's right for them. So a conversation.
Robbie, a question I think is really important for right now is how do you help your customers navigate this disruption that we're seeing not only across the IT space, the technology space, but really in the economy in the United States, across the workforce? We're seeing a lot of layoffs. We're seeing a lot of political upheaval. There is so much disruption, not to mention we had a pandemic just 5 years ago, and we all know how much disruption that caused then. How are you helping your customers navigate this and especially stay resilient while still being able to pay attention to their budgets and some of the other concerns that they each have?
I think that's a very good and timely question. I think everybody's worried. What are the tariffs going to do to the U.S. economy? What's the new political landscape with Europe going to create with our U.S. Customers? But if we look at the pandemic as an example, that was majorly disruptive, very isolationistic, or whatever. I'm using the right word there. During the pandemic, where we had to really look inward and figure out how we were going to survive. I think that having access to data quickly, having access to the data as it changes for your business, whether that's the cost to get a part from China, what's the new tariff do to your raw materials cost, being able to understand that in real time so you can react to it in real time and get ahead of any issues is super important. And an integrated system like we've talked about is key to that. Having real-time data, maybe having that generative AI models looking at the predictive landscape of the global supply chain, or what could happen to your suppliers is super important. Really, it's economic downturn is uncertainty, and the less uncertainty you can provide because you have good data about how this change will affect your budget, how this potential opportunity could increase your sales because maybe you have an offering that's not as hit by a tariff or by some of these other aspects of the new political landscape. I think is huge. It really comes down to controlling the amount of uncertainty and reducing uncertainty as much as possible through great systems that are that collect all the data that you have available to you and can provide it back in real time.
I'm curious to know if you've ever had a customer kind of come to you thinking that something was totally right for them based on their own research, and then you were able to kind of pivot them back to a situation that was much more applicable to what they needed. I guess what I'm asking, do you talk to some stubborn clients? Are there ones out there that need some specific handholding?
I heard about a client in the last couple of weeks, months, that was, fairly decent size customer client that was looking to upgrade their systems and move to modern application, but had decided to go with the on-prem solution. So to publish it to their own data center, they owned a data center that they thought they would be better off moving it into. We went through spec to down, we supported them in that decision, went through spec to down, looked at the cost of deploying it into servers and hardware they already had compared to deploying it into Microsoft's Azure, through the D365 offering. And it became very apparent that the total cost of ownership was greatly reduced by putting it into the cloud. So yeah, we have clients come to us still thinking that way, and we have to go at it as with an open mind, look and see, is it right to do what they're thinking, or should we make another suggestion? We talk about, we're advisors. We need to give advice that helps their clients to see the best return on the investment they're making. And sometimes the client's right. Sometimes you have to have a hard conversation, and maybe there's some egos involved with the person that originally made that recommendation. So it's sometimes hard to navigate those waters, but it's our job to make sure we do navigate those waters and talk to them about what is right.
Another area of your business at Velosio that I wanted to dive into that I found really interesting was your ISV services, your independent software vendor services. Can you explain those to me? How do you work with these specific vendors? Because often they're building their own solutions on top of somebody else's technology. So I'm curious to know how you serve those vendors and how you partner with them.
Yeah, and we partner with them in multiple different ways. Our business has really two unique sides to it. One where we provide services to other software vendors, other ISVs, and one where we sell directly to clients and help them implement. On the indirect side, we provide licensing to other Dynamics partners, other Microsoft partners, and help them to navigate the complexity of being a Microsoft partner. And in that side of the business, we also help ISVs modernize their solutions for cloud offerings. So on that side, we could be helping a ISV to recode their solutions to be able to work with a modern cloud application. And then we can help them with their marketing and getting to the end customers and being able to find customers for that new solution. And then on the direct side, we'll take many of those same ISVs and we'll put them into our marketplace, our e-commerce solution, and it's available to our clients, available to our partners, and be able to recommend what we found to be the best software solutions to augment and enhance the offerings that are the Dynamics, the NetSuite solutions that are going to market.
So, Robbie, thinking about 2025, where through the first quarter just about of the year, what are you focused on this year and what's your biggest goal? And of course, while I do mean that broadly, yes, we want to serve our customers. Yes, we want to provide success or help provide success. But for you, is it you want to help them navigate cloud in relation to AI? You want to help the mid-market become more digitized. But on a more detailed level, what is your focus this year when you think about what you want to do with Velosio?
So we go through a pretty rigorous yearly planning process that's reviewed on a monthly and quarterly basis. And when we were going through our yearly planning last year, it was really a lot of things came out, but the kind of underpinning of everything was data and analytics and generative AI. It's kind of the things that everyone's looking for now. And when we talk about generative AI, which is, you can't turn on the news these days without hearing about something with ChatGPT, OpenAI, or, I heard a new thing this morning on the Wall Street Journal's podcast about a new model that came out in China. There's just so many different offerings around generative AI that people need their data to be ready for. So one of the big things this year is helping our customers to have their data ready for what is a competitive advantage now, an organizational shift. So helping those clients get their data in the right mechanisms cleaned up, master data management so that they can utilize the new tools, helping them understand what those tools can mean and do to their business, things like agents for automation and for better productivity of their employees. Things like generative AI in the front office for people when they're talking to clients, having better access and quicker access to the data they need to service those clients. Back office automation and the fact that they can, maybe do some things automated, and instead of needing to hire 4 new people, they hire maybe 2 higher end type resources, or maybe they don't even need those. They're able to get higher productivity out of their existing employees and be able to there return profits back to the organization. So our goals this year is to help our clients be ready and to realize the advantages of the new shift in the landscape around AI and around data.
What do you think is the biggest challenge for that goal being accomplished? Is it that people want to use AI to an extent that they're not ready for, but they're too excited about? Or is it something else entirely?
I think it's education, helping people understand what's truly available now, what's still, in the future for, that you're maybe hearing about is possible, but maybe not quite as accessible as it will be in the future. But to me, the second biggest is just having the data clean enough to be able to provide good answers to the questions being asked of it. If your data is not clean, you can get what they call hallucinations from the generative AI engines. You can get answers back that aren't what you would want to present to a client or what you'd want to present to an employee. And then the security around the data is a big concern for a lot of companies, and probably what I would consider the third most challenging thing to take that journey is just helping people understand both that you're not just opening your data up to everything, but if you do it right, you can have the same security that you've been used to, the same access to the data that you were used to pre-opening it up to an AI engine.
I'm curious to ask, knowing that we're talking about AI and the way that people are now realizing data is the fuel for good AI, good data, clean data is the fuel for using AI in a way that it's meant to be, rather than just thinking it's, for a lack of a better word of saying, the artificial intelligence that can just solve everything and it's sentient and it knows what's going on. You've been in technology for more than 30 years, and cloud is your bread and butter in a basic sense over at Velosio. Would you say that AI is as exciting as we saw when cloud burst on the scene? Or is this even comparable to anything that we've seen in the last 3 decades inside of this industry?
Yeah, I think everything's built up off itself. I've been in this industry a long time, been in the forming of internet service providers in the early days, and I really think that the wide area networking and in the internet was kind of stage one, and then stage two was the move to public clouds, moving off of privately owned data centers into rental computer power that you get with public clouds. And then the icing on the top now is what we might get from AI as we continue to move forward, which is really a multiplication of the manpower that we've had in our businesses. Excel, or Lotus 1-2-3 when it came out, spreadsheets came out, it drastically improved the productivity of many parts of the business, mainly the financial parts of the business. And then you came out with word processing, and you didn't have to throw away sheets of paper to share information and do your editing. And then all of these things, email, all these things were productivity improvements. But I think AI has the ability to just drastically change that. I use this analogy way too much, but I believe you need to say things over and over so it sticks. I think that the move to AI, to generative AI, and then on to general AI is like the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution was majorly impactful to the productivity of the manual labor. The manual labor no longer had to be as strong as they did in the past, because a machine could amplify their output. I believe that generative AI and general AI will do the same thing to the information worker. It'll allow that information worker to have a multiplication of its output. As you look at what that could do, it could, right now GDP for a country is based upon of people mainly. One of the main factors of GDP growth is just your population growth. And AI has the ability to kind of change that dynamic, the ability to take your gross domestic product and really allow it to accelerate through efficiency gains of that information worker. And I think that that's a huge thing. And I think that when a company has the ability to both be able to predict better where their business is going, where the economy's going by a generative AI being able to look into all the news, everything going on, predict how that will impact your business, be able to really help to amplify the knowledge and the expertise of your employees, then a lot of things get easier. And maybe you have the ability to navigate some of these unsure times with more ease, because you're able to have predictable models that tell you where you're going that you can trust. And I think that's a big thing for where we're going with AI.
Very well put, Robbie. I'm curious to know, and I ask everybody who comes on the show this very important question: success stories. I love to know what you like to hang your hat on when it comes to talking about Velosio. Can you share a customer success story with me in which you really say, this is how we shine as a business?
Yeah, hopefully there's more than I can count, and there are more than I can count. We have a ton of success stories and case studies on our website, and we do them routinely with our customers. And we have customers come and talk to our leadership team once a month on a Wednesday morning, which is great to hear from our customers. And we bring in the ones that are happy, the ones that aren't happy, so that we can learn from them. And we believe that most of them. We've done a wonderful job for. We have a philosophy here, raving fans, that we want every client to come out with raving fans. One of those raving fans that I heard from, a little while back was really a company that had grown, tremendously, over time, and had gotten to a point where they were just struggling to continue that growth because they had all these disparate systems, all of these systems that were not communicating and talking to each other. And so they had all these silos of data, all these silos of information, and it was causing them to not be able to understand their business as well as they could have if they had pulled it together and been able to really look at their data as one set, one holistic view of the business. And a success story that I was proud of was hearing about how we helped them to break down those silos, set up data warehousing, implement a new ERP, a new customer relationship management solution that gave them a holistic view of their organization, and thereby be able to continue that growth. And when you looked at the 2-year trailing growth after the implementation, it looked like a hockey stick. It looked like that jump in growth that was expected. And that happened during the COVID times. And to me, that's what we're about. We're about helping our clients to be able to realize their potential and realize what they're capable of through better systems and better information that an owner, a C-level, or even a line level worker can act on and see the opportunity payback that we expect.
What about on the vendor side, the vendors that you work with? And in this case, I know it's primarily Microsoft, but even talking about the ISVs, are there any vendors that you would shout out and saying they're doing a great job, or there's an offering that we're offering from them right now, a solution that we're building off of their offering right now that is just doing great for Velosio? Anything that comes to mind that you would really like to shout out?
We have a new product that's white labeled from a company called Fortis that's called Velosio Pay. It's really a full payment solution, credit card, ACH processing that's available in our D365 and NetSuite offerings. It allows a client to have really one source for payment processing at an unbelievably attractive rate, that's cheaper than just about anything you can get out there. And it allows those customers to have a better experience with their clients because they have a simplified way to take payments and to automate that payment processing, whether it's a reoccurring payment or a one-time payment. I really am proud of that Velosio Pay white label solution with Fortis.
If you've got folks who are watching and saying, we might need your services, how do we know that we're going to be the right fit for somebody like you to work with? What would you say to those viewers and listeners as far as how they can identify why they should reach out to you, and then why Velosio for them?
Well, why Velosio, I think, is we really do cherish our clients and the relationships with our clients. So we're going to be that partner, not just that vendor to you, that partner that helps you with that journey and of digitalization or modernization. And I think that the clients that we best serve, again, that core mid-market, let's call it 50 to a couple of billion is the revenue spots. But those core industries previously discussed, professional service, horticulture, distribution, discrete manufacturing. There's many, many more that we do, but those are some of the key. If you're looking at your digital landscape and saying, how do I get that payback that I was promised? I'm not seeing it yet. I'm not seeing the return on investment for the money I've spent or the money I'm planning to spend. I'm worried I won't see the return on the investment that's expected. That's when we would love to talk to you. We'd love to help you understand how to see that return, to see, you don't spend money just to spend money. You spend money to make more money. And that's what we're here to help you do.
And how can they reach out to you? Where can they learn more?
Yeah, they can go to our website, www.velosio.com.
Robbie, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and getting to know more about Velosio. I wish you the best of luck this year.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much to Robbie for joining me today, and thank you for watching or listening. You can check out all episodes of Channel Insider Partner POV on channelinsider.com. Or watch us on YouTube at youtube.com/channelinsider_news and trends. You can also listen to us as a podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow to never miss an episode. Once again, I'm Katie Bavoso, and I'll see you next time.